Welcome everyone to today's talk. And what I'd like to talk about today is what it means to be resilient and strong, but in yogic terms. So, the reason I wanted to cover this topic is because I've noticed recently in relation to experiences that I've been going through, and also experiences that I've heard other people going through, people that I'm working with, people that I'm teaching, people that I'm practicing yoga therapy with. I've been hearing about some of the challenges that they've been facing in their lives. And I've also been hearing about what we might call the modern or Western approach might be to dealing with some of these challenges. And I think it's fair to say that we can all recognize this pattern, which is as follows. When we suffer, when something in inverted commas goes wrong in our lives, when something happens that perhaps we feel in inverted commas shouldn't be happening to us, and as a result of that, we feel strong, again, what we might call negative emotions. We might feel sadness, we might feel anger, we might feel disappointment, we might feel envy, we might feel jealousy, we might feel hatred, for example. The general advice that is given today, and the general advice that seems to be mirrored in our commercial culture, is that when you feel bad, the best thing to do is to try to immerse yourself in something else. In other words, what that means is that when you feel bad, in inverted commas, we should try to distract ourselves. And unfortunately, this aligns very nicely with the commercial marketplace in which we now live, which offers all sorts of wonderful distractions that take us away from being present or being with feeling in inverted commas bad. And I'm going to come on to talk about why we may not wish to be distracted. So, what that means, for example, is you're feeling bad, watch Netflix. You're feeling bad, go and watch a movie. You're feeling bad, go on holiday. You're feeling bad, go and buy something in the shops. You're feeling bad, maybe go and buy a new car. All of these things can be done. All of these things serve as, at best, temporary distractions from the reality of what we are facing. In addition to that, we are somehow subliminally conditioned to believe that the idea of being strong is somehow putting up a barrier to what is going on. Perhaps we might call this compartmentalization. So something perhaps difficult and challenging is going on psychologically, emotionally, or circumstantially in our lives. And rather than necessarily looking into that and being with it and understanding it, we are kind of taught to just get on with things and to push forward and to put on a brave face, and again to focus more on the external positioning and presentation of how we're feeling, perhaps even to make other people feel more comfortable in our presence, we might say, rather than actually looking inwards and noticing what is going on. So, with the topic today being about what does it mean to be strong and resilient in yogic terms, let us come to that now. Well, when we sit to practice meditation, when we stand perhaps to practice postures on a yoga mat, what are we doing? We are actually practicing being present with ourselves to the point that we notice what is arising in our bodies and sensation in our minds on a moment to moment basis. So, for example, when we sit for meditation, we have to pull ourselves away from whatever we are doing in that moment. We have to sit down in some form of position, in some form of posture, and we bring our attention onto a meditative anchor, which might be the breath, which might be sensation, which might be mantra, a phrase, or whatever it might be, a picture of a deity, or perhaps a flame in front of us. And no matter how many times our mind wanders, we have to bring our attention back gently to the object of focus, whatever that may be. Now, as we do that, we may feel all sorts of difficulties within us. Emotions may come up, boredom may come up, certain types of thoughts that we're not proud of or that we wrestle with. We might resist the present moment, we might resist things as they are. And all of these things can serve to make us feel uncomfortable and can actually heighten our desire to want to distract ourselves or move away from those feelings. But the reality of meditation is that what it does is it says, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to observe what comes up and I'm going to be present with it. I'm going to notice it. I'm going to take the choice to let it go and come back to this meditative focus, no matter how many times I have to do it. And gradually over time, what happens is that we begin to develop a resilience to be able to be with those strong sensations, to be strong in the face of perhaps what might usually be overwhelming emotions or overwhelming thoughts. And no matter how much the mind is raging, no matter how intense the sensations are within, we gradually over time develop a practice to be able to sit calmly and compassionately and with awareness and with presence of what is arising within us. Now, if we take that in inverted commas into the real world, so imagine that we are facing some of the challenges that we talked about at the start of today's talk, whatever they may be, a breakup, a loss in our family, some challenging situation at work, which causes us to feel certain strong sensations, for certain thoughts to come into our minds, for strong emotions to permeate our body. Rather than feeling the need to run away from those and to indulge ourselves maybe with a drink or some form of sedation, whatever that might be, or the need to go and do something else to get away from it, what it allows us to do is gradually and fearlessly and resiliently be able to look inside and to notice those sensations and to be able to get to a point where we're no longer overwhelmed by those sensations. We can sit with them. We can offer those sensations and those feelings compassion and just spaciousness to unfold and to move through our system and not to be knocked over by them. In doing so, we develop the strength to be with those sensations, to be with those emotions without running away, to really begin to understand their true nature and to understand that there is something deeper within us that is unaffected by those sensations, by those thoughts, and by those circumstances, which is steady and unchanging. This is something that only long term practice can reveal within us. And so, actually, the difficulties that arise point us further and further within until we notice that place of neutral awareness and we identify more with that place than the changing, challenging circumstances of our lives. And when we get to that place, this is where we truly develop what we might call yogic strength and yogic resilience. So, strength and resilience is not the ability to push feelings aside, to push emotions aside, to ignore external circumstances and just kind of charge on in an unconscious way, suppressing and trying to compartmentalize and ultimately fragment ourselves in the process. It's actually about developing the courage and the ability to sit with, to experience our emotions, to experience our grief, to experience all the thoughts that come up when we go through challenging times, which of course we all will and all do, and be able to sit with them patiently, to tend to them in a compassionate way, and to offer them the kind of care that we might do to a young child. The result is over time is that we become aware of our infinite capacity to cope and to bear some of these challenging circumstances. And over time also, we gain the wisdom to realize that there will never be a moment where the external world aligns exactly with our expectations, and therefore peace comes from external circumstances. So we realize over time we gain the wisdom that through this practice of sitting, through the practice of asana, through the practice of breath work and pranayama and so forth, we begin to realize actually that we can quiet ourselves, we can detach slightly from the thoughts and circumstances of our lives, we can root into this deeper place within. And this is the true development of resilience and strength and peace of mind and mental equanimity that yoga moves us towards. So, wherever you are, whatever difficult circumstances you are facing right now in your lives, I encourage, including myself, each and every one of us, rather than doing the thing that we've always done or have been encouraged to do by the external world, to distract, to go and do things, to try and suppress or push away some of these difficult things, to just try to sit for a moment or two, even on the couch, lying on a bed, and just see if you can allow yourself to be with your feelings, to allow yourself to experience, to inquire into the nature of these feelings, the ways that sensations arise in connection to emotions, and just see if we can sit and stay with those just for a short period of time at first, and see if we can offer those sensations, we can offer those thoughts love and care. Of course, these are deeper practices that take time to cultivate and of course need the guidance of a teacher. But in this video, I'm just trying to point out the fact that there is an alternative to running away. Running away simply creates a pattern of always needing to run away and leaving a ton of stuff unresolved within us. Leaning in towards the sensations, leaning in towards the difficult times and how they manifest within us gives us the opportunity to know them, to deepen our resilience to them, and ultimately to transcend them. So thank you as always to listening. Thank you for listening. I hope that you have found this video useful. Please do subscribe to the channel. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you. Namaste.